Welcome to Closet Thoughts. I'm Brihat. We're going to talk about service. So, what does this mean? Service. When I think of service, I think of customer service. I think of getting a job and kind of doing some drudging work. Or I think of the idea of being forced to do something. You know, if I'm someone's servant, that means someone is my master and they're telling me what to do. They're forcing me to work against my will. They might not pay me so well. And to be a servant, materially, what does this imply? It implies that someone generally isn't so intelligent, they don't have much money, they don't have much power or freedom to get out of that situation. So it's not a preferable situation. It's kind of just a situation someone is forced to be in, although they are not so in desiring that position. But spiritually, being a servant is actually considered the highest thing. This is a very interesting concept to think about, because materially, like we just discussed, being a servant is considered the lowest. Nobody wants to be a servant. If you put that on your resume, nobody's going to hire you for a job that I've just been a simple servant. But spiritually, well, not even spiritually. Let's just look at this idea, is that factually, we are servants. This is just true. Because if we think about it, we're always serving somebody. We're either serving our employer for wealth or for a higher position, or we're serving our government by being a good citizen, following the laws so we don't get bad results, and they protect us from war and pandemics, give us $1,200 maybe. Or we're serving our family members, we are giving food to our children, or we're giving gifts to our spouse, or helping take care of our family members when they're sick, taking care of our dog. So we're always doing service for someone. And so this begs the question, why is service seen as such a low thing in material life? Well, this is the funny thing, is that the material conception of life is based on total ignorance of the real self. Material life generally means who I am is this. This material body is me. And the personality, which is that I've personally grown up with for 25 years, have identified with, is called Gabriel and has certain characteristics. And it's always changing. That's the thing. So we're identified with this material body, this temporary material ego, personality, and this is who we think we are. And ultimately, we're trying to be happy by trying to not do service for other people, but to be served. That seems like the highest position in material life, right? To be a celebrity and people are serving you with compliments and giving you money and giving you all kinds of things. Or you're a great political leader and people are serving you, you're very powerful, or you are a very wealthy business person, and again you have servants or employees who do whatever you say because you have the power, the control. And this is generally looked on as material success or material happiness. But this is just out of touch with our real nature. Our real nature is one of service. And this is really where the real sweetness in life is understanding how fun it is to be in touch with our real nature as being a servant. And so it's interesting to consider the idea presented in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is talking to his friend Arjuna, and he is explaining the position of us as individual, infinitesimal spiritual beings. So we're like little rays of sunlight, and Krishna, God, is the source of everything, or the source of the sun rays, which is the sun globe itself. And so he describes that since we're small by nature, we're tiny little sparks, like little sun rays, and so we don't really have much power, we don't really have much control as much as we'd like to think. If you really look at it clearly, you can see we have very little control over anything. We didn't want this big pandemic to happen, and yet what could we really do? Of course we should make steps to prevent these things from happening in the future, but we really don't have much control over the larger things. We can't control hurricanes, we can't control gravity, we can't control even our own digestion or our own minds. We have very, very little control in this world. And so it's quite obvious we're very small and powerless in many ways. And interestingly, just recognizing this and coming to terms with it is actually empowering. To realize that we are mostly powerless is empowering, because we can realize that we are by nature connected with the source of all power. The example that is helpful is to think about if a very wealthy, famous person has a servant, someone who is helping them, then naturally that servant gets to enjoy some of the benefits of that wealthy, famous person, right? They might have a very nice car, eat very well, have very good doctors, and so the servant naturally will get to enjoy some of those same benefits. And so in the same way, we as individual souls, as servants of God, we get to appreciate the opulences of God. And so we get incredibly empowered when we start to do service for God. I've noticed that in my own life, just how I previously had such a challenge with anxiety, with stress, with lack of self-confidence. And these things are dissipating as I'm focusing my priority on serving God and developing my relationship with God. And so, this is just what I wanted to share, is how this has been factually realized in my own experience, and how just our nature as souls, as spiritual beings, is to do service for other people, and ultimately to do service for God. The final analogy I'll leave everyone with is that of the tree. So when we are serving people or animals in this temporary world, we are like watering the leaves of a tree. And if you water the leaves of a tree, not much is going to happen. The tree will eventually wither up and die. But if we change to the source of that tree's sustenance, if we water the roots of that tree, it will naturally nourish the entire tree itself. And so, in the same way, with this whole cosmic manifestation, this whole universe, there must be a cause of this whole thing, and this cause is God. And so when we direct our service propensity away from the mundane things in this world, serving a boss just to get money, serving a pet just to get some quick relief from our loneliness, and if we direct that towards service of God, then naturally we start to feel the happiness that is within us. It's called Sat Chit Ananda, the nature of the soul, to be full of happiness. And so, of course, this doesn't mean that we neglect our material duties and neglect our material families, but we realize that these are temporary things, and that the real purpose of life and the factual reality of everything is that of service to God, and by serving God we serve everyone. And so I'll extrapolate more on this in future videos, but I wanted to share these thoughts for now. So I hope this is helpful for someone out there. Please let me know if anyone has some questions. Thanks for hearing these closet thoughts. I'll talk to you guys next time. Hare Krishna.